It seems the US-China relationship is always in the news, and because America and Western media tends to dominate the global news, it can seem like everyone is against China. But that really isn't the case. In this video, I want to introduce you to some mega projects that China has completed or is currently working on in Africa, and show you how China is influencing the world by helping other countries build useful infrastructure. I will also show you what the governments and people of these countries say about China and these projects. Also, I don't think you'll be able to guess number 1 on this list because it was even surprising to me. But before we get there, let's jump right in with number 10. We are starting this list off in Nigeria because China has been building a lot of projects in this country, and I wanted to highlight the Abuja Rail mass transit system. Chinese companies have committed to financing the construction of the Abuja Rail mass transit system and to the rehabilitation of 1,315,000 kilometers of the Lagos-Kano line under the first phase of Nigeria's railroad modernization program. Although there have been some controversies around the light rail system, the project has continued to develop. The system currently has 2 lines, the yellow and blue lines, but is expected to have more lines in the future linking most of Abuja city. China is known for high-speed trains and has some of the largest metro systems in the world, which makes China a great partner for Nigeria's railroad modernization program. Nigeria's transport minister said the entire railroad for now in Nigeria is constructed 100% by the CRCC. Reports quote him as saying, "I think that the good working relationship we have had with the CRCC is the reason we have not been able to engage other companies. It is clear China and Nigeria have a good working relationship, despite what some of the media outlets might report." Moving on, we have Algeria at number 9 on our list. According to reports, 4 Algerian and Chinese firms have signed a deal worth nearly $7 billion to develop an integrated phosphate project in Algeria. The deal will lead to the creation of an Algerian-Chinese company named Algerian Chinese Fertilizer Company for the integrated phosphate project. The Algerian firms will own 56% of the new company, while the Chinese companies will own the remaining 44% stake. Said to be the country's first integrated project in the field of mining and fertilizer production, the project will see the development and exploitation of the phosphate deposit in Tabisa. This will also include the transformation of phosphate into fertilizer, as well as the construction of port facilities at the point of Annaba. The project is expected to create around 12,000 construction jobs, 6,000 direct jobs, and 24,000 indirect jobs in the operating phase. This is a massive project that will provide jobs for the local community and continue to develop a new industry in Algeria. In a televised speech, Algerian President Tebboune praised the historic friendship between his country and China, saying China is Algeria's true friend. This shows the overall feelings between the two nations and explains why both countries are working together to build mega projects in Algeria. Up next on our list at number 8 is a famous ghost city. I'm talking about Kilamba New City project built by China International Trust and Investment Cooperation. When the project was first constructed, many Western news outlets called it a ghost city and a wasteful project. But looking at videos from 2022, it is clear that many people are living there. Kilamba covers an area of over 30 square kilometers and offers homes for more than 200,000 inhabitants. It comprises over 700 apartment blocks ranging from 5 to 13 floors, over 100 commercial premises, 17 schools, and 24 daycare centers to provide care and education for children, as well as over 240 stores to drive the local economy. The cost is reported at $3.5 billion, financed by a Chinese credit line and repaid by the Angolan government with oil. Although this project has been criticized by many, it is now a major city with a large population, over 120,000 people. Rui Santos, a resident, said, "The conditions where I used to live were not good. It's a rented house far away from the city. As my income improved, I relocated to this new city built by CITIC Construction, and my life has improved now." Moving on, we have the Bowie Dam in Ghana at number 7 on our list. The Bowie Dam, with an installed capacity of 400 megawatts, is the second largest hydropower dam in Ghana after Akosombo. Its construction started in 2009 and was completed in 2013 with funding from the Chinese government. This project is a little older now, but it shows how China has been helping build infrastructure for the last few decades and why many countries in Africa have positive views of China. According to Pew Research, views of China across Africa are generally positive, with the 4 countries surveyed averaging 62% favorably. The total financial cost of the Bowie Dam is estimated around $622 million and was financed through foreign loans and public spending. The 400 megawatt dam was completed by China's Sina Hydro Corporation and led to many additional projects throughout the decade. These exchanges will continue to deepen with the Belt and Road Initiative. Ghana signed on to the initiative in 2018 and has already negotiated a $2 billion deal enabling Sina Hydro to provide infrastructure such as roads and bridges across the country. Today, China is not only Ghana's primary source of foreign direct investment, but principal trading partner and infrastructure financer. The president of Ghana said there are many examples of benefits to us from China.
Across a broad range of sectors of our economy, there are many examples that are of benefit to us from China, and on top of it, Chinese companies are proving to be very successful in their contribution to the development of our economy. So I'm very hopeful that the relationship between Ghana and China is going to grow stronger and stronger in the years ahead.
All these mega projects have one thing in common, and that is cement. That is why number 6 on our list is a cement factory in Tanzania. The Tanzanian Investment Center announced in 2019 it granted permits to Sinoma International Engineering and its subsidiary Hangya Cement to start building a $1 billion cement factory and a 1.2 gigawatt power plant in the northeastern port city of Tanga. Once finished, the factory will produce 7 million tons of cement annually, with 30% earmarked for domestic use and 70% for export. According to the Tanzanian Prime Minister, the construction of the cement plant will act as a catalyst to Tanzania's industrialization plan, as well as speed up the country's socio-economic development. The cement factory and power plant marked the first stage of a 3-year plan involving the investment of $3 billion to develop a construction materials park that will be the largest in East Africa, according to a statement on Hangya's website. The park will incorporate a dedicated terminal for importing raw materials and exporting finished goods. This is a massive park that will provide cement and cement products to many mega projects in Africa and around the world. So far, these projects are impressive, and if you like these types of lists, be sure to hit that like button because it really helps the video reach more people and allows people to see a different side of China's development. And it lets me know that you enjoy watching these videos. Alright, let's jump right back into this list at number 5, which is a special economic zone. China has 7 special economic zones, which make them experts on the topic. So it is no surprise to learn that China is helping build the Pointe Noire Special Economic Zone in the Republic of Congo. According to the Minister for Special Economic Zones, the Pointe Noire Zone will create approximately 100,000 direct and indirect jobs and could have a substantial impact on Congo's overall GDP growth in the midterm. As per the government's plan, the Special Economic Zone will include a mineral port and an industrial park with activities in areas such as petrochemicals, timber and paper, food processing, and tourism. The economic zone will try to attract firms by giving fiscal advantages as well as incentives to trade. This project seems to be ongoing and there isn't a lot of information about it, but it was expected to generate over $1 billion in 2022, $2 billion by 2026, and $3.5 billion by 2031. With the completion of this infrastructure and with the benefits of international partners, the Republic of Congo is aiming to become an emerging nation by 2025. Investing in base infrastructure such as transportation, education, and health is providing the key foundations that will allow future industries to prosper. This next project is another rail line, but it is more interesting. The Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway was the first railway built in Kenya since its independence in 1963. According to media, the railway, which links up East Africa's largest port city of Mombasa to the country's capital Nairobi, was built to ease the pressure on the domestic road network, and it is an important infrastructure project to boost the local economy. After 2.5 years of construction, the long-awaited railway began commercial operations on May 31, 2017, making cross-city trips safer and shorter. Transporting passengers and cargo, the SGR has injected a renewed vitality into the local economy and has changed the lives of ordinary Kenyans. The 480-kilometer line shortens passenger travel time from Mombasa to Nairobi from more than 10 hours to a little more than 4 hours. Freight trains complete the journey in less than 8 hours while also cutting logistical costs by 40%. As of May 2022, nearly 8 million passengers and 1.77 million TEUs of cargo have been ferried between Nairobi and Mombasa since the SGR commenced operations. The president of Kenya was on the first train ride and said after 122 years, Kenyans have got their new railway at last. And on the day the SGR opened, President Kenyatta praised it as the pride of the nation. We thank China for helping us build the SGR and write a new page in Kenya's history. It was a great success story for both countries, and it is often overlooked. Speaking of overlooked, if you haven't been following the news closely, you might have missed that Egypt is moving their capital into the desert, which brings us to number 3 on the list. China State Construction Engineering Corporation is the lead contractor on the iconic tower. The 355-meter, 80-story iconic tower should dominate the skyline of the country's administrative capital once the city is completed. The tower will form an integral part of Egypt's massive $58 billion yet unnamed administrative capital, which is currently under construction some 50 kilometers east of Cairo. This project has been rolled into the Belt and Road Initiative, and according to the site, to date the project has pretty much run to schedule. This is almost certainly down, at least in part, to the fact that one of the key subcontractors, China State Construction First Building, a division of CSCEC, has a huge amount of experience in delivering mega buildings on time. It is, after all, said to have constructed some 50% of the world's ultra-tall buildings, including 85% of the skyscrapers that dominate many Chinese fast-growing urban spaces. Along with building the iconic tower, CSCEC will work on other buildings in the new capital, and Chinese banks are reported to have financed 85% of the $3 billion needed to fund the first stage of the new capital in Egypt. The president of Egypt said in a meeting with Chinese President Xi, Egypt will continue to work with China to advance Belt and Road cooperation. Egypt welcomes China's active participation in important infrastructure projects in Egypt. Its doors are wide open to Chinese companies hoping to invest and seek cooperation in Egypt. This shows the two countries' willingness to work together to not only build the new capital, but other projects in the future. Coming in at number 2 is a building that got Western media all excited over security concerns, but was hailed as majestic by the president of Zimbabwe. I'm talking about the newly constructed parliament building that China helped to build. China funded and constructed the imposing and spacious $200 million building as a gift signifying its growing relationship with Zimbabwe. The 6-story Parliament building in Mount Hampton is about 18 kilometers west of the capital and where the government is planning a new smart city. Many news sites posted stories about the new Parliament building claiming China would spy on Zimbabwe, but in recent years the country has turned more and more to China for help deepening their relationship. According to reports, since 2003, Zimbabwe has looked to China and also Russia for friendship and assistance after falling out with Western countries that imposed sanctions following allegations of human rights abuses and vote rigging committed by then-President Robert Mugabe, who lost power in 2017. The National Assembly at the new Parliament building has more space, with a capacity of 400 seats against the 270 House of Assembly members. The new structure has extra facilities for conferencing, 15 committee rooms, and adequate space for office staff and parking. The office building contains 600 rooms, including offices for VIPs, members of Parliament, and Parliament officials. In total, the building has the capacity to accommodate 1,000 people. You've made it this far into the video, which means you must like megaprojects, and if you do like megaprojects, you should subscribe to this channel because I have already posted many other videos about megaprojects in China and plan on uploading more in the future. So click that subscribe button and let's find out what number 1 is on this list. Coming in at number 1 is the African Union headquarters in Ethiopia. This is another controversial building because some news sites accuse China of spying on the African Union. But those accusations were denied, and the African Union is still using the building and allowing China to build new government buildings. Controversy aside, the main building was designed and built by a collaboration between Tongji University, China State Construction Engineering, and the China Architecture and Design Research Group, with the $200 million budget donated by the Chinese government. The design of the site resembles two hands in embrace, symbolizing Africa and China relations, and includes both traditional African art and modern Pan-African symbology. Construction took 3 years with a workforce of 1,200 people, roughly half of whom were Ethiopians and half of whom were Chinese. The building was inaugurated on January 28, 2012. The project coordinator said the new building signifies China's growing relationship with Africa. It's a testimony that the relationship will continue into the future. As you can see, not every country is against China, and many nations are actively looking for Chinese investments and development. This list is only scratching the surface of all the projects taking place in Africa. After watching China's rise over the last 70 years, it isn't surprising that other nations are turning to China for guidance. If you want to see some of the amazing mega projects China has completed at home, you can watch this video here. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you over there.